So picture this, the most boring boardroom in the galaxy, located on a space station that looks like someone stuck a bunch of metal donuts together and called it architecture. Welcome to the Galactic Council Chambers, where bureaucracy goes to die a slow, painful death, and aliens with too much time on their hands decide the fate of entire species. Today's agenda item? Humanity's recent admission to their little club of civilized races. And boy, are they just thrilled about it. Ambassador Throck, a 7-foot-tall purple nightmare, who looks like an eggplant, had a baby with a filing cabinet, adjusts his ridiculously oversized spectacles and clears his throat. The sound is like a garbage disposal trying to process a fork. Esteemed colleagues, he begins, because apparently even in space, meetings start with the same soul-crushing formality. We gather today to review the military capabilities of our newest member species, the humans of Earth. The assembled delegates, a collection of tentacles, scales, and what can only be described as aggressive geometric shapes, murmur their approval. They love this stuff. Nothing gets an alien bureaucrat more excited than paperwork about other people's weapons. Throck waves a tentacle, and a holographic display flickers to life, showing Earth's military statistics. The numbers are, well, let's just say they're not impressive by galactic standards. A few nuclear weapons, some primitive spacecraft, and infantry that still uses projectile weapons. How quaint. As you can see, Throck continues, his voice dripping with condescension, the humans possess minimal offensive capabilities. Their largest vessels are barely cruiser class, and their ground forces rely on what they call bullets. Actual metal projectiles, fired from handheld tubes. Primitive doesn't begin to cover it. The council erupts in what passes for laughter among beings who communicate through pheromones and electromagnetic pulses. One delegate, a crystalline creature that looks like a chandelier with anger issues, literally chimes with amusement. Perhaps, suggests Council Member Blargoth, a slug-like being who's never met a regulation he didn't love, we should assign them to sanitation duties. They seem well suited for menial labor. More laughter. These aliens are having the time of their lives. Now, here's where it gets interesting. While these cosmic clowns are busy congratulating themselves on their superior intellect, they've completely missed something rather important. In the corner of their own council chamber, quietly mopping the floor with the kind of methodical precision that screams "I've done this 1,000 times before," is a human woman. She's not particularly tall, maybe 5'6" in her worn work boots. Her graying hair is pulled back in a practical ponytail, and she's wearing the standard-issue custodial uniform that makes her virtually invisible to the self-important alien elite. Just another piece of furniture in their grand chamber of bureaucratic masturbation. But if any of these intellectual giants had bothered to really look at the human pushing the mop around their precious meeting space, they might have noticed something. On her left forearm, barely visible beneath her rolled-up sleeve, is a small tattoo. Nothing fancy, just a simple black design that looks like a stylized eagle clutching a globe. To the untrained eye, it's probably just some human nonsense. Maybe she likes birds. Maybe she's patriotic. Maybe she got drunk one night and made a terrible decision. But that little mark? That innocent-looking piece of body art? That's the equivalent of a nuclear warning label, Galactic Classification Code Level Black. Do not mess with this human under any circumstances. Too bad none of these cosmic intellectuals bothered to do their homework. Meet Jenny Morrison, age 53, custodial engineer aboard Galactic Council Station Epsilon 7, and the most dangerous person in a 50-light-year radius. Not that anyone's bothered to ask. Jenny's been mopping these floors for 3 years now, and she's got to say, it's been the most peaceful 3 years of her life. No explosions, no gunfire, no screaming commanders telling her to take a hill that's crawling with hostiles. Just her, a mop, and the satisfying rhythm of clean floor meeting dirty floor in an endless cycle of maintenance. The aliens barely register her existence, which is exactly how she likes it. They walk right past her like she's part of the furniture, discussing their important alien business while she quietly makes their world a little cleaner. Sometimes they even step in her freshly mopped areas, which is annoying, but not nearly as annoying as dodging plasma fire in the jungles of Kepler 442 billion. See, Jenny's got what you might call a colorful past. Before she became the galaxy's most overqualified janitor, she spent 25 years in Earth's Special Operations Division. Not the kind you read about in history books, the kind that doesn't officially exist. The kind that handles problems in ways that would make a diplomat reach for the antacids. Her specialty: what the brass liked to call hostile environment pacification. What everyone else called making bad guys disappear in places where conventional forces couldn't operate. She was good at it. Really good. So good that when she finally decided to retire, Earth's government had a little chat with her about her pension plan. Here's the thing, Morrison, her commanding officer, had said, not looking up from his paperwork. You know too much, you've done too much, and frankly, you're too damn dangerous to just send home to suburbia. So we've got a proposal. The proposal, as it turned out, was pretty simple. Take early retirement, accept a civilian cover identity, and spend her golden years doing light surveillance work in various galactic hotspots. Keep her ears open, stay out of trouble, and enjoy the benefits of interstellar travel on the government's dime. The tattoo on her arm? That's her service record condensed into a single symbol. 25 years of classified operations, 17 different combat zones, and a kill count that would make most military units jealous. All wrapped up in a nice, tidy little design that looks like patriotic decoration to anyone who doesn't know better. And here's the beautiful part. The Galactic Council's intelligence services are about as effective as a chocolate teapot. They ran her through their standard civilian screening process, saw custodial worker on her application, and filed her under harmless human labor. They never bothered to check what that little eagle tattoo meant, because why would they? She's just the help. Jenny finds this hilarious, by the way. She spent 3 years listening to these cosmic blowhards talk about human military capabilities while she's standing right there, representing more concentrated lethality than most of their member species' entire armed forces. It's like watching a nature documentary where the cameraman is actually a tiger. Take Ambassador Throck, for instance. Right now, he's going on about humanity's crude projectile weapons while she's mentally calculating 17 different ways to neutralize him using nothing but her mop and the decorative plant in the corner. Old habits die hard. The best part? She's actually enjoying the work. There's something zen about cleaning, something therapeutic about imposing order on chaos. Plus, the benefits are decent, and she gets to travel the galaxy without anyone shooting at her. After 25 years of combat zones, that's what she calls a win-win situation. Of course, retirement comes with certain adjustments, like pretending not to understand tactical discussions when she overhears them, like acting impressed when alien security demonstrates their advanced combat techniques, like watching incompetent bureaucrats make decisions that would get people killed in the real world. But hey, that's not her problem anymore. She's just the janitor. What could possibly go wrong? You know what they say about famous last words? Well, what could possibly go wrong is definitely in the top 10. The first sign of trouble comes at 14:37 station time. B. When the lights flicker and the artificial gravity hiccups just enough to make everyone's stomachs do that little flip-flop thing. Jenny notices it immediately, because after 25 years of combat operations, you develop a sixth sense for when the universe is about to go sideways. The second sign is the way the station's defensive system starts screaming like a toddler who's been told they can't have ice cream for breakfast. Alarms are going off everywhere, red lights are flashing, and the station's AI is announcing something in that annoyingly calm voice that computers use when they're about to deliver catastrophically bad news. Attention all personnel, the AI says, with the kind of artificial cheerfulness that makes you want to punch something. We are experiencing an unscheduled external contact event. Please remain calm and proceed to designated safety areas. Translation: something big and unfriendly just showed up, and we're probably all about to die. Jenny sighs and continues mopping. She's been through enough unscheduled external contact events to know that panicking doesn't help anyone. Plus, she's got a job to do, and this floor isn't going to clean itself. Around her, the council chamber erupts into chaos. Ambassador Throck is frantically waving his tentacles and shouting orders that nobody's listening to. The crystalline delegate is chiming so rapidly it sounds like a wind chime in a hurricane. And Blargoth, the slug-like bureaucrat, is leaving a trail of nervous slime as he slithers toward the exit. What's happening? Throck demands, as if the universe owes him an explanation. Who dares attack a Galactic Council facility? The answer comes courtesy of the main viewing screen, which flickers to life and shows what's lurking outside the station. 3 massive warships, each one roughly the size of a small city, painted in the distinctive red and black colors of the Korthak Empire. They look like someone took a battleship and crossbred it with a dentist's nightmare, all teeth and sharp edges and barely contained violence. Oh, wonderful, Jenny mutters, dunking her mop in the bucket. The Korthaks are having a tantrum. She's dealt with the Korthak Empire before, back in her active duty days. They're what happens when you give advanced technology to a species that never evolved past the hit-it-with-a-stick stage of problem-solving. All aggression, no subtlety, and about as diplomatically minded as a rabid wolverine. The lead Korthak ship opens a communication channel, and the screen fills with the ugly mug of what can only be described as a space orc having a bad day. Commander Grax, if Jenny's reading the rank insignia correctly, though it's hard to tell with all the scars and ceremonial face piercings. Pathetic council insects, Grax growls, his voice like gravel in a blender. You have harbored the human plague too long. Today we cleanse the galaxy of your weakness. Jenny raises an eyebrow. Apparently humanity's admission to the Galactic Council has ruffled some feathers, or scales, or whatever the Korthaks have instead of proper skin. This is an outrage. Throck sputters. We are a diplomatic facility. You cannot attack us. Grax laughs, which sounds like a garbage truck having an argument with a jackhammer. Watch us, tentacle face. The communication cuts out, and immediately the station shudders as the first wave of Korthak boarding pods slam into the hull. Jenny can hear the telltale sounds of hull breaches and emergency seals engaging. The distinct whine of plasma cutters tells her that the Korthaks are burning their way through the outer bulkheads. Security teams to all breach points, the AI announces, still maintaining that insufferable calm. Initiating lockdown protocols. Jenny snorts. She's seen the station's security teams. Nice enough folks, but they're basically mall cops with slightly fancier uniforms. They wouldn't last 5 minutes against Korthak boarding parties. Around her, the remaining council members are either fleeing in panic or desperately trying to reach their personal security details. Throck is shouting into his communicator, demanding immediate evacuation. The crystalline delegate has gone completely dark, which is apparently how their species handles stress. Meanwhile, Jenny continues mopping, because that's what custodial staff do during emergencies. They keep working while everyone else loses their minds. It's practically a job requirement. The first Korthak boarding party breaches the outer security perimeter about 10 minutes later. Jenny can hear the plasma fire and the screaming from 3 decks down. The station's security forces are putting up a fight, but it's like watching a middle school chess club take on the NFL. This is quite the mess, Jenny observes, wringing out her mop. Someone's going to have to clean up after this. She pauses, considering the situation. The Korthaks will probably take the station within the hour. Most of the council members will be dead or captured. The station's civilian population, including several hundred genuinely innocent beings, will be lucky to survive the next few hours. On the other hand, she's retired. This isn't her problem anymore. She's just the janitor. But then again, she's always been terrible at retirement. There's a moment in every janitor's career when they have to make a choice, keep cleaning, or deal with the mess that's making all the other messes possible. For Jenny Morrison, that moment comes when a Korthak boarding party kicks down the door to the council chamber, plasma rifles charged and ready to turn the remaining diplomats into expensive alien jerky. The lead Korthak, a 7-foot-tall slab of muscle and attitude problems, sweeps his weapon across the room, looking for targets. His eyes pass right over Jenny. Because who pays attention to the help? She's just some human with a mop, probably cowering in fear like all the other inferior species. Big mistake. Big mistake. Surrender, council cowards, the Korthak growls, his voice like a cement mixer full of broken glass. You die today, but Lord Grax might make it quick if you grovel properly. Ambassador Throck, who's been hiding behind an overturned table, raises his tentacles in surrender. Please, we are diplomats. We can negotiate. The Korthak's response is to level his plasma rifle at Throck's head. Diplomacy is for weaklings. Today we demonstrate Korthak strength. And that's when Jenny decides she's had enough. She sets down her mop with the kind of deliberate care that anyone with combat experience would recognize as a very bad sign. The Korthak doesn't notice. He's too busy enjoying his moment of triumph. You know, Jenny says conversationally, I've been retired for 3 years now. 3 peaceful years of mopping floors and minding my own business. And I was really hoping to keep it that way. The Korthak turns toward her, more confused than concerned. What does the human cleaner want? You wish to beg for your worthless life? Jenny rolls her shoulders, working out the kinks. Actually, I want to file a complaint. See, I just finished mopping this floor, and you idiots are about to make a mess all over it. That's what we call poor workplace etiquette. The Korthak laughs, which sounds like a chainsaw trying to digest a violin. Stupid human. You think your words frighten us? Oh, I'm not trying to frighten you, Jenny says, taking a step forward. I'm trying to be polite. Because in about 30 seconds you're going to be very, very dead, and I wanted to explain why. That's when the Korthak notices the tattoo on her arm. The little eagle and globe that means absolutely nothing to him, because the Korthak Empire's intelligence services are about as effective as their diplomacy. You dare threaten a Korthak warrior? He starts to raise his plasma rifle. Jenny moves. 25 years of combat experience doesn't just disappear because you've been pushing a mop around. Muscle memory is a beautiful thing. And right now, Jenny's muscle memory is screaming neutralize the threat in 17 different languages. She closes the distance between them in 3 quick steps, her right hand grabbing the Korthak's rifle barrel and yanking it aside, just as he pulls the trigger. The plasma bolt goes wide, leaving a smoking hole in the wall. Her left elbow drives into his solar plexus with enough force to crack ribs, and before he can recover, she's twisted the rifle out of his hands and reversed it. The butt of the weapon connects with the side of his head with a sound like a watermelon meeting a baseball bat. The Korthak drops like a sack of angry potatoes. The whole thing takes about 4 seconds. Jenny examines the plasma rifle, checking the power cell and safety settings. Korthak military surplus, she mutters. They really don't make them like they used to. Behind her, Ambassador Throck is making a sound like a deflating balloon. What are you? I'm the janitor, Jenny says simply. And right now I'm very annoyed about the mess you people are making. She can hear more Korthak boarding parties moving through the station. Plasma fire, screaming, the sound of bulkheads being breached. They're systematically working their way through each deck, probably planning to take the council chamber last for maximum psychological impact. Jenny sighs. I really wanted to stay retired. She picks up her mop bucket and starts walking toward the door. Ambassador Throck, you and the other survivors might want to find a secure location. This is going to get messy. Where are you going? Throck calls after her. Jenny pauses at the door, considering her answer. It's to take out the trash. And with that, she disappears into the corridor, leaving behind 3 years of peaceful retirement, and about to remind the galaxy why Earth's Special Operations Division doesn't officially exist. The Korthaks are about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one nobody bothers to notice. 43 minutes later, Jenny walks back into the council chamber, and she's got that satisfied look that comes from a job well done. Her custodial uniform is a little singed around the edges. There's a small cut on her left cheek, and she's carrying a Korthak command helmet as a sort of trophy. The council chamber, meanwhile, looks like a bomb went off in a furniture store. Overturned tables, scorch marks on the walls, and enough debris to keep a cleaning crew busy for weeks. Jenny surveys the damage with the critical eye of someone who's going to have to clean it up later. Well, she says, setting down the helmet, that was invigorating. Ambassador Throck and the other survivors are huddled in the corner, looking like they've just witnessed the laws of physics having a nervous breakdown. Which, in a way, they have. The Cortax, Throck stammers. What happened to the Cortax? Jenny shrugs. I asked them to leave. They declined. I made a counter-offer they couldn't refuse. But there were 3 ships. The crystalline delegate chimes weakly. Hundreds of warriors. There were, Jenny agrees. Past tense being the operative phrase there. She walks over to retrieve her mop, which is still standing exactly where she left it. See, here's the thing about the Cortax. They're really good at intimidation and frontal assaults. But they're not so good at dealing with asymmetric warfare tactics, improvised explosives, or janitors who know where all the maintenance shafts are. You destroyed 3 warships, Throck says, like he's trying to convince himself it actually happened. With cleaning supplies. Well, cleaning supplies and a few items I borrowed from the station's emergency supplies. Nothing too fancy. A little thermite here, some repurposed plasma conduits there, and suddenly their main reactor is having what we call an unscheduled disassembly event. She pauses, considering. Although I have to admit, the mop bucket came in handy. You'd be surprised how effective a good old-fashioned booby trap can be when people aren't expecting it. The silence that follows is the kind of silence that happens when people's worldview has just been turned inside out and shaken vigorously. Finally, Counselor Blargoth manages to speak. What are you? Jenny leans on her mop handle. I'm exactly what I said I was, a janitor. Just happens that before I was a janitor, I spent 25 years in Earth's Special Operations Division. You know, the group you don't think exists because it's not in any of our official military records. She taps the tattoo on her arm. This little design? It's not just decoration. It's a service record. Marine Force Reconnaissance, then Special Operations Command, then some things that don't have names in any language you'd recognize. But you're listed as civilian custodial staff, Throck protests. That's because I am civilian custodial staff. I retired 3 years ago. But here's the thing about Earth's retirement program for people like me. We don't really retire, we just change jobs. The government figured it would be useful to have experienced operatives scattered around the galaxy in civilian roles. You know, just in case. Jenny starts mopping up some of the debris. Because old habits die hard. Funny thing is, you actually had all the information you needed to figure this out. My service record, my psychological profile, even my tactical specializations. All you had to do was run a proper background check. But we did run a background check, Blargoth insists. No, you ran a civilian screening. There's a difference. A background check would have flagged the fact that I was trained in hostile environment operations, urban warfare, and what we politely call executive action. A civilian screening just looks for outstanding parking tickets and unpaid library fines. The crystalline delegate suddenly brightens literally. Their surface starts glowing. The tattoo. We should have researched the tattoo. Jenny nods approvingly. Now you're getting it. That little eagle and globe? It's a military occupational specialty identifier. Specifically, it marks someone who's been through the kind of training that turns ordinary humans into what we call force multipliers. Force multipliers? Throck asks. People who can take on odds that would make mathematicians cry. See, the thing about humans is that we're not particularly impressive on paper. We're not the strongest, or the fastest, or the smartest. But we're really, really good at learning how to kill things that are stronger, faster, and smarter than we are. She wrings out her mop. Earth's got about 40,000 people with tattoos like mine scattered across the galaxy. Most of them are doing perfectly normal civilian jobs. Teachers, mechanics, bartenders, janitors. Living quiet lives and hoping they never have to remember their old skills. 40,000, Throck repeats weakly. Give or take. We call it the civilian reserve. The idea is that if humanity ever needs to defend itself, we've got assets in place throughout known space. Assets that nobody knows about because they're hiding in plain sight. Jenny surveys the destroyed council chamber. I really was hoping to stay retired, you know? I like mopping floors. It's peaceful, predictable. Nobody tries to kill me. She pauses. Well, usually nobody tries to kill me. 3 days later, the emergency session of the Galactic Council convenes in a hastily prepared backup chamber. The main chamber is still being repaired and will be for the next 6 months, assuming they can find contractors willing to clean up the kind of mess that happens when Korthak boarding parties meet a retired Earth special operative having a bad day. Jenny's back to her usual routine, mopping floors and emptying trash bins, but the atmosphere has changed considerably. For one thing, the alien delegates keep staring at her. Not openly, because that would be impolite, but in that nervous, sideways way that people use when they're not sure if they're sharing space with a janitor or a natural disaster. Ambassador Throck calls the session to order, and Jenny has to admit, his tentacles are still trembling slightly. The first order of business is to formally address the recent incident involving the Korthak Empire. You mean the incident where our janitor single-handedly destroyed 3 warships and saved everyone's lives? Counselor Blargoth asks helpfully. That incident, yes. Jenny continues mopping, pretending not to listen. This is the part of her job she actually enjoys, the cleaning, not the attention. She's never been comfortable with praise, especially when it comes from people who spent 3 years treating her like furniture. The Galactic Council owes a debt of gratitude to. Throck pauses, consulting his notes. To custodial engineer Morrison. Jenny, she corrects without looking up. And you don't owe me anything. I was just doing my job. Your job is custodial maintenance, the crystalline delegate points out. My job is keeping this place safe and clean, Jenny replies. The Korthaks were making a mess. I cleaned it up. There's a moment of silence as the assembled delegates try to process this logic. Jenny takes the opportunity to move on to the next section of floor, which has some interesting scorch marks that are going to require special attention. The council has voted, Throck announces, to offer you a position as Director of Station Security with full diplomatic immunity and a salary commensurate with your unique qualifications. Jenny stops mopping. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to have to pass. You're refusing a promotion? Blargoth asks, clearly baffled. I'm refusing a different job, Jenny corrects. I like my current job. It's simple. It's honest. And most importantly, it doesn't involve people shooting at me. She resumes mopping. Besides, somebody has to keep this place clean. You've seen what happens when maintenance standards slip. The delegates exchange glances. Jenny can practically hear them thinking, how do we deal with someone who's powerful enough to destroy a small fleet but only wants to mop floors? Perhaps Throck suggests carefully we could arrange for additional custodial staff. Share the workload. That would be nice, Jenny agrees, but make sure they're properly screened. And by properly screened, I mean actually check their backgrounds this time. All of them. You think there might be other individuals, like yourself, among the civilian staff? Jenny grins. Ambassador, I've been working here for 3 years. I've met the maintenance crew, the cafeteria staff, the waste management team, and the night shift security guards. And I've got to tell you, some of them have very interesting tattoos. The silence that follows is the kind of silence that happens when people realize they may have been spectacularly wrong about everything. How many? Throck asks weakly. Let's just say that if you ever decide to invade Earth, you might want to reconsider. Jenny dumps the dirty water from her mop bucket into the disposal unit. We're everywhere. We're invisible. And we're very, very good at our jobs. She starts walking toward the exit, then pauses. Oh, an ambassador? You might want to update your intelligence protocols. The next time someone with a classified military tattoo applies for a custodial position, maybe ask a few follow-up questions. As she leaves the chamber, she can hear the delegates starting to argue about security reviews and background checks and the terrifying possibility that their cleaning lady might be a retired assassin. Jenny smiles. Let them worry about it. She's got floors to mop and retirement to enjoy. After all, someone has to keep the galaxy clean. And if that someone happens to be a former special operative with a talent for turning household cleaning supplies into weapons of mass destruction, well, that's just good planning.